All right. We're having a little fun with that. Gary, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, everybody. We were just having a little bit of fun with the features, but hello. You are tuning in. My name is Tisha, and this is Live at 45, and I am joined by my special guest, Gary Hype Rogers. We met on LinkedIn a few months ago, several months ago. It feels like we've known each other for a lifetime, though, right, Gary? Doesn't it?
Yes, that feels that way. Yes.
Feels the way.
For
Gary
sure.
is out of Florida. What part of Florida are you in, Gary?
We are in St. Petersburg, Florida, right there on the bay or the Gulf. So around that area.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, and the reason that I wanted to bring Gary on with me today is Gary is one of my sponsors. His company is Check Your Game. Checkyourgame.com is his website. And he is one of my sponsors for the Startup Business Grant. And because we are nearing to the deadline and to the date where I'm announcing the Startup Business Grant recipient and the runner-ups, then I wanted Gary to talk about what he is providing to the recipient, because he's got a great story with Check Your Game. I'm just going to say hi to Linda joining us on LinkedIn. If you are joining us for this live broadcast, and make sure to use the chat box so we can answer you in real time. We can give you a little love and a little shout out and all of that. This is being broadcast through StreamYard, through my Facebook personal profile, and also LinkedIn Live, as well as YouTube. So, Gary, the big question that we always want to ask is, why did you start Check Your Game? Like, what was the reason why you started Check Your Game?
Yeah, thank you, Tisha. And it's great to be on here. And I want to acknowledge Linda too. And Erica, I believe that's how you say it. Because you know what? It's great to be acknowledged. And so, hey, Linda and Erica, thanks for joining. My name is Gary. Thanks, Tisha. Yeah, Check Your Game. 1996. It was an off season, and I was finished playing football that season. Came back to Cincinnati, Ohio, where I lived, and I was on Gary's path for a bunch of years, starting when I was 18, and now I'm about 26 years old. So it was about 8 years, and I was on Gary's path and really just taking care of myself, and until I got out of bed one day, and I was just miserable. I just was like, what have I been doing in life? How am I acting? What am I doing out there? All I did was I cared about my sport and I cared about myself. And I had to make changes. You know, when you're at rock bottom, that was one of those rock bottom moments. When you're at rock bottom, it's like you have nowhere else to go down unless you die. But I'm like, I need to change. I don't want to do that. I want to change. And so I have a faith story. So for me, you know, God was a part of my change. Made a decision to put my faith in God, and that opened my eyes to seeing this game of life of mine. And I'm like, wow, I've got a bunch of changes I need to make. You know, I was playing football, so I still needed to work out. I still needed to get in shape, but I needed to do a bunch of other things. And so I made a decision to go back to play football and work on these other areas in my life. And so fast forward in the middle of the season, I worked on my game. I was making better choices. I was staying away from the bar scene. I was treating people better. I took a Dale Carnegie class. I was just basically improving my life, you know. And for the first time in my life as an athlete, I finally realized, I finally figured out the secret recipe. You know, I tell people, Colonel Sanders, he has a secret recipe for chicken. I found the secret. Yeah, I mean, he does. It's awesome. But anyway, I found this secret recipe on how to give my best. You know, people talk about 100%. They talk about 110%. And it's so hard. No, there's no 110, you know. it's so hard to give your best. But what I figured out was that this recipe is that I had to make choices. I had to make improvements in these other areas that were outside of my sport, that were outside of my job. And when I finally did that, I was then able to give my very best in sports. And I was like, I'm getting chills right now. It took me 26 years to figure this out. Come on. I mean, I would say to people, if you watch a film, you'd think, yeah, Gary, you're giving your best. That looks great. But I knew at that moment I wasn't. And so I finished that season. I put these 3 words together: check your game. I said, yeah, it's catchy. I like that. Check your game. And I thought, it means something. I'm like, let's look these words up. There was no phone back then. I was like in a dictionary at a library. Do people know what libraries are? And
No,
encyclopedias, maybe? I don't know.
no, landlines, none of that.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we were back then. But I looked up the words. Check is to examine. Your is about oneself. Game is defined as a business, a sport, your passion, and also the game of life. And I'm like, wait a second, examining one's game of life? That's what I did when I hit rock bottom. I examined my game of life. And you know what? It's not just about examining, it's about taking action. Check your game as action. And I'm like, I made different choices. And my result was that I knew I finally was giving my very best in my sport and as well outside of my sport. And so check your game 23 years ago. I haven't, I've been kind of dabbling with it, going back and forth over these years. But in the last couple of years, I've just I put together this website where I feature people like Tisha. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I ask people what their check your game moment was, which I call when your check engine light was going off in your life. When did you finally decide to take that car in, open the hood, and get your life examined? And what did you do about it? And so I asked people that question, and I asked people what advice they would give. And I'm doing this because you know what? When I was a young boy, when I was a kid playing sports, I thought sports were it. And I needed help. I needed advice. I needed encouragement. I needed direction in all kinds of areas. And you know what? I didn't have that. I mean, I knew a few people, but today with technology and with all this networking and with all this opportunities to get on the web, there's so much information at your fingertips and you're able to connect. And that's what I like doing. I love to connect people. I love connect people with information, with encouragement from others, so you don't feel like you're on an island by yourself, because somebody else has gone through it, like Tisha, like Gary, like Billy, like this person and that person. Does that help? Does that make sense, Tisha?
That's huge. I love that. So I shared the link on my YouTube. I'll share it. But if you go to check your game and you just, I think, type in my name, right, too, Gary, you just put in Tisha Marie Pelletier, you can read my whole story about this. But I really love this concept because a lot of us have had that. Linda, I know, Erica, I think I was calling her Erika. I don't know why I tried to make this like fun name. I was like, it's Erika. It's Erica. It's Erica. Spelled differently. So Erica on. But this whole check your game concept is, it's like, when did you have your aha moment? When did you have the light go on where you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. And I shared my story with Gary of how we always joke. So if you ever see us on LinkedIn, we're usually joking about like Connie Chung, because it's such a big part of my story of how I wanted to be Connie Chung. People who may be watching that I went to high school with, I wanted to be Connie Chung.
Yeah.
All throughout. And then I was like, I don't want to be Connie Chung. And that was the check your engine story that I shared on Gary's site that actually has gotten quite a bit of just comments and a lot of love. So I really love that. And one thing that Gary is doing as part of the Startup Business Grant is how many people are taking that leap of faith right now? How many of them are leaving their corporate job, or maybe the circumstances have changed in their life and now they are launching a business? And so Gary is one of my Startup Business Grant sponsors, is giving a featured story to the recipient as well as the runner-ups, right, Gary? You wanted to share their stories of why they're checking their game, why they're
Yeah.
making these leaps and bounds and this huge impact in their life and in the lives of others. And it's so
Yeah.
much about the story, so much about the story.
Yeah, and Tisha, I would add, they're making these leaps and bounds, but really, what I'm helping people to unfold is who these people are on the inside. Like, you can look at Tisha and look at her LinkedIn and different things, and hey, this is what she looks like, this is where she works, and different things. But like, who is Tisha? Who is she behind the mic, right? I mean, she's not Connie. She actually is as good as Connie. Hey, Brian Burke, what's up? Look at Brian there.
Connie ain't got nothing on this girl. I'm telling you.
You're great, Tisha. You are great. You really are. But really, what I'm trying to do is help tell the story. I'm trying to help show people from the inside out because people have some special stuff. And so, how do you do that? I help get that out of them because I want people to understand who Tisha is, who I am from the inside out, and not like, oh yeah, this is what I look like, and this is what I do. But anyway. I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this question too, Gary, before we kind of wrap this up too, because you know me, it's mom life. Like as soon as I jump off of this is
Yeah.
just small window. So Dan's on. So Dan, all my sponsors are on. Dan Dominguez, Brian Burke, who are also sponsoring the Startup Business Grant. Connie who? So Connie Chung. Yes. And I think Dan's probably like, Connie, who's Connie? So the question I want to ask you is like, knowing what you know now, there's always this question of what would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time and say, Gary Hype Rogers, this is what you should know as you move forward. Like, what would you tell yourself? I always love asking this question.
Before I answer that, one thing I would do is when I was coaching this 7th and 8th grade boys tennis team at Indian Hill, and I had Brian Burke in the back seat throwing tennis balls out my window, I'd probably say, listen, Brian and kids, you guys got to chill. You can't be doing that. Besides going back and saying no to Brian, actually, I wouldn't say no to Brian. We all had fun. What would I tell myself? There's a bunch of things I would tell myself, but one thing is that I believe you can't do one thing on the weekend and do one thing during the week. You can't be two different people. I think you have to be, you gotta act right. You gotta think of others. You gotta, so for me, I was on this path of thinking about myself, and my goodness, if I could change that, even going back to, through college, I would think of others. I would talk to others. I would, I'm a talker, but I would get to know others, relationships. Networking is a great thing. I would network. I would think about my future. I'm giving you a few more things. I don't know what I'm focused on. I got ADD, right? So I'm all over. But
it's all good. It's all good. Keep going with it.
So those are a few things. I mean, as far as like business related stuff, it's not like, oh, study, education, so important, especially, those athletes out there, high school athletes, middle school athletes, or whoever, you think sports is going to keep going, but man, that jersey eventually comes off. You may go on to the next level, but that jersey's coming off. And you may go to that next level, and that jersey's coming off pretty quick. And when those jerseys come off, and you weren't studying, and you didn't think about your future, you're in trouble. You're going to be 29. I'm getting chills again. Why chills? Because that was me, Tisha. That was me. Yeah. The jerseys were coming off, and I didn't study. I wasn't thinking about my future. I wasn't developing relationships. I wasn't thinking about people. I was thinking about Gary. It doesn't work that way. Man, I changed, luckily. At 27, I had 2 more years of playing football, and I changed. And so I would just say, man, think of others. It's not about you. What can you do to serve others? And really, I think that's what we're all doing, Tisha. That's what you're doing. You're with this program. You're serving others. That's what everybody who's watching some of these sponsors are serving. So that's really what I would say.
Yes, I'm so grateful that you said that. And I'm grateful for the people who are tuning in live, who are also going to be watching the replay. Because as you guys know, I started this business grant because I was given a grant. There's always a story. And I think that's what Gary and I are trying to say is you have a why, but there's always a story behind what you're doing. Like Gary has this amazing story of why he started Check Your Game, had his late father, his story on there, has his mother's story, has all of these amazing entrepreneurs and just people in general sharing their story. But it started with his own journey of checking his own game. And just like the grant that I'm sharing, I was given a grant in 2010 and I was like, I just won the lottery. Well, really, I won $500. But I won so much more than just the $500. I got resources and support, and I was able to take this vision and run it for 6 years and build community, which is my big why, right, Dan? It's about my why. And that's why I'm doing this, because I want to give that same experience to someone else. And that's why. And so I'm just grateful for Dan and for Brian and for Nathan and for Nico and, for all of these people that have stepped up to help this Startup Business Grant, including Gary, for, sharing those stories, because we all have that story. Now, where do we put that story to inspire everybody else? Yes.
And Tisha, if you don't mind, Tisha, if I could just throw in there, because you got this partner there, Nate. He asked some amazing questions. I try to watch you guys every Friday. I just want to do a shout out. No, what are you laughing at? Nate's got some amazing questions. I really appreciate some of the questions. I mean, he takes some time to work on those. But anyway, hey, this is awesome. Did you eat Dan, Linda, Erica, or Arika? No, I'm just kidding, Arika.
Arika's just laughing. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this girl's butchering my name."
no, the Mac man, Brian Burke, the Mac. Hey, Brian, by the way, if you're still on there, I was going to bring some tennis balls on here. Oh, look, we've got Mike Dorfler. Is Dorfler? Hi, Tisha. You know him, Mike. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's great to be acknowledged, isn't it, Tisha?
Yes, it is. But that shouldn't be the why. That should not be the why. It's not the recognition. I mean, it's just that, you've seen this. You've said you're a man of faith too. It's not about, hey, I'm going to do this and I want the applause for it. That's not why. There's a deeper purpose for it. Yeah. Erica, your mama just got really creative. I like her. Your parents got creative with that, because I'm like, Eureka. Like, Eureka. I think that's fun. I'm just going to call you Eureka. Like, you're my Eureka moment. Like, you've been here since day one. Eureka. All right. Yeah, Michelle joining us. So awesome. Thank you. Mac Man. This has been fun. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you, Gary. Gary, I literally just asked him last night, hey, you want to be on a live? And he stepped up. And he's here with me today.
And Tisha, you said if it goes really well, which it seems like it is, that we'll continue on. So, hey, everybody, let's keep it going. Let's keep the party. Hey, can you get that music going, that 30-second countdown? It's got some beats and stuff.
It would take us off of the whole live stream, but yeah.
It would, yeah. Don't do that.
I could bring in Ellie. She'll beatbox for us.
Oh, wow. This
I may
is fun.
actually have her do that. Yeah, she's like a little rap artist. It's pretty cool.
That's sweet. That is nice. Now, this is exciting. I mean, I love being here, talking to you, and I'm thankful that I'm a part of this, and I can't wait to serve, whoever are the recipients that you want to share, and anybody else. I would say to anybody else, connect with me, connect with Tisha. Well, you probably already connected with Tisha, but if I can do anything to help you, please let me know. That's what I like to do. And yeah, anything. You just send me a message, invite me, and let's connect, and let me see what I can do for you.
Yeah. So, yeah. He is a big time connector. He connected me with Brian. He connected me with Billy today, who's a potential sponsor. Actually, he's stepping up to sponsor this grant as well. So that's what it takes, right? We're talking about collaboration. You do not have to go in it alone. You have people there to help you. And that's why, you need connections like Gary, because Gary's just all around good guy. All right. So a couple of housekeeping announcements before we end this broadcast. Remember, the deadline is September 10th for the Startup Business Grant application process. You can download that on my website at tishamarieNterprises.com/startups. I am also going to be on a live stream next week with Mary Brandt. She's out of San Diego on bite-sized tips for entrepreneurs. So make sure to catch that. That's 11:30 on Wednesday, or you can always catch the replay as well. And then another big shout out going to Nate Flood, my co-host on Casual Convo Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Arizona time. Nate's awesome. He's been my technical guru, my interviewer, all of that while my glitchy systems are going crazy. And he deserves some shout out. He deserves some shout out for sure. And so we're back at it tomorrow morning at 10:30 or 1:30 p.m. Eastern if you're on the East Coast. And we have a great guest coming on our hot seat. She's this Lola. She is an empath for entrepreneurs. So this is going to be a really exciting topic. I'm excited to dive into that. So make sure you catch that. And as far as Tisha Talks live at 4:45, this is a show that I just literally started this week. It's a series. It's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 4:45 Arizona time, and you can catch it on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But big thank you again to Gary. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my sponsors, especially for those of you tuning in and chiming in on the chat or watching the replay. I appreciate all of you for being a part of this day, and we'll catch you back. All right, we'll see ya. Bye, guys. Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
Here's Ellie. She's saying bye.
Oh,
Ellie, do you want a beatbox? Can you beatbox for us now that you're here? Come on.
oh, she's cute.
Yes, this is the mom life. I think she's telling me that we're done. We're done. You need to get off now, Mom. It's mom time. All right. Okay. Well, maybe next time we'll do some beatboxing. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful night and an even better Labor Day weekend, and we'll catch you back. All right.
See you later. Thank you. Thanks, Tisha.
Bye.
Bye, Ellie.